Now that we're edging our way deeper into the 2021 season, we're beginning to hear murmurs of potential megadeals and blockbuster trades to come before the March 25th deadline. With so many coming to the surface as of late, whether it be Kevin Love going to the Nets or Beal landing in the Big Easy, there are undoubtedly going to be some crazy moves over the coming months. But which trades are most likely to actually go down? We're going to break down what we believe to be the three biggest trades that have the highest chance of actually happening before the March 25th trade deadline. Taking into consideration factors such as the current state of the team, how close they are to success, how willing they are to make a move, and how many pieces and cap space do they have to truly make a move. Narrowing it down to three players specifically, we'll take a look at the teams that have the most reason to get a deal done and the teams that are most likely to get a deal done. The players we believe to be on the move next are Bradley Beal, Kevin Love. Bradley Beal. Potential destinations: New Orleans Pelicans, Miami Heat, and Philadelphia 76ers. New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans have more draft picks than anyone else in the league other than OKC. However, unlike the Thunder, New Orleans actually has a real chance at competing in the West. Given, of course, that they actually use those picks and go out and get a third star, as Ingram and Zion are both playing tremendous basketball at the moment and are undoubtedly the future of the franchise. They still need a third star to get over the hump, and Beal's unique scoring ability, playmaking, and basketball IQ would make him an ideal fit alongside Ingram and Zion. And the best part about it is that New Orleans has enough pieces, cap space, and draft picks to get a deal done. Miami Heat. Miami have been in the Bradley Beal sweepstakes for a while now, patiently waiting for the Wizards' asking price to go down. The Heat would likely have to give up some of their young core in Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, and or Duncan Robinson, as well as a pick or two along the way. As the Wizards continue to decline and the Heat's chances of making the playoffs hang in the balance, we'll likely see a deal get done, as both teams will be more inclined to make moves at this point in the season. Philadelphia 76ers. Philadelphia currently sits atop the Eastern Conference at 12-6, but still don't carry a third star with playoff experience. Going out and getting Beal would not only mean acquiring a player with significant playoff success, but it would unquestionably put Philadelphia alongside the Nets and Bucks as the favourites in the East. Beal is lights out from deep and can score from anywhere on the court, both on and off the ball. This works perfectly with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid's style of play, as they both require significant spacing in the middle of the floor to get their shots off. Beal can easily find a way to space out the floor and provide a reliable scoring option for a team in desperate need of one. So, where's he going? Miami Heat. Though all of the above scenarios present great opportunities for all parties, I feel like Beal to Miami is something that nobody's really talking about right now, and yet there's some serious chance of it happening. They'd likely have to reach the point where they're willing to part with Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and or Kendrick Nunn, but if it means pairing Beal with Jimmy Butler, then it may be worth considering for a struggling Heat squad. The 76ers will probably choose to keep their core the same, especially if they continue to win, and New Orleans likely won't be able to put together anyone more enticing than what Miami can offer. The Heat have gotten off to a very slow start, as they currently sit in the bottom half of the conference and have struggled against the title contenders that they tossed aside a season ago. However, they have a plethora of young talent that they could easily afford to give up and still retain enough remaining talent to make a late playoff push, with Beal, Adebayo, and Jimmy Buckets leading the way. Kevin Love. Potential destinations: Brooklyn Nets, Boston Celtics, and LA Clippers. Brooklyn Nets. The rumours between the Cavs and the Nets for Kevin Love have been heating up recently, and rightfully so, as the thought of adding Love to an already loaded Brooklyn Nets squad sounds unbeatable. However, while that's a trade that could be done, we should think about the logistics of the situation. For the Nets to acquire Love, they'd likely have to package together players like DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie, and or Landry Shamet. This poses a problem, as they already have question marks surrounding their depth and don't want to remove the few assets they have left. From the Cavs' perspective, getting rid of Love for a few young assets like Dinwiddie and Shamet and proven talent like DeAndre Jordan is a smart choice, as he's likely going to leave when his contract expires anyway. Boston Celtics. Boston's been very impressive so far this year, as many would have thought with the loss of Kemba Walker at the start of the season that they'd struggle immediately. However, so far their superstars Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have carried their team to the second best record in the conference, alongside the inspiring play of role players like Daniel Tice, Marcus Smart, Tristan Thompson and Jeff Teague, not to mention their impressive young rookies Aaron Nesmith and Peyton Pritchard. But they've essentially put themselves in the exact same spot they were in last year. They have the exact same core and a slightly improved bench mob. But in order to compete with the top dogs like the Bucks and the Nets, they're in the same boat as the Sixers, where they may finish with one of the top records by the end of the season, but they lack the star power teams like Brooklyn and Milwaukee have. And so, come playoff time, they aren't going to match up nearly as well as they would if they were to acquire a third star like Kevin Love. They have draft picks and talented, valuable assets that, if they're willing to part with, could easily be packaged together to bring in Love. LA Clippers. The Clippers currently sit with the Lakers as the top two teams in the West. However, how far can their current squad take them in the playoffs? And do they have the depth to surpass the likes of LeBron James? Kawhi and PG are playing well so far this year, but losing Montrezl Harrell to the Lakers was huge, and they still haven't really made up for it. While Ibaka has proven to be a gritty, valuable big man, he's slowly declining with age and has limitations offensively. The Clippers could package together players like Marcus Morris, Patrick Beverley and Lou Williams, all of which proven to be inconsistent for an all-star big who can space the floor and shoot the lights out when healthy. Doing so also adds a player to their locker room who's played with their biggest rival, LeBron James. So where's he going? Boston Celtics. Love to Brooklyn is probably the hottest talking point. However, I find it hard to believe that the Nets will give up what's left of their core just to acquire an aging stretch four with a lengthy injury history. Not to say he doesn't carry value, but the Nets would likely have to give up too much to the point where it hardly seems worth it. And the Clippers would probably have to toss in Pat Bev and or Lou Williams, which I don't see being too enticing for the Cavs, as they already have two young budding stars in Sexton and Garland who play the same position. Whereas a team like Boston is probably a little more desperate to find a third star and have enough young assets and draft picks to potentially make a move for Love. It would probably mean parting ways with Marcus Smart as well as a couple of their young players, but it might be worthwhile, as otherwise they're essentially running it back with the same team that got bounced in the bubble last year. All in all, there's still a lot of time between now and the trade deadline, and still a lot can happen over the course of the season. There's no question that there's going to be plenty more trade rumours to pop up in that time, but the players who we believe will 100% be with a new team sooner rather than later are Bradley Beal, Kevin Love